Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm not sure when this product will go out, but this presentation is given to you by Sergeant First Class Williams. That's me. I'm the 67th ESB Battalion SARC, and I'll be giving you a virtual SHARP class. Due to COVID-19, this is a virtual environment. It's minimum personnel in the physical classroom, therefore the risk assessment is low. Today we will discuss sexual harassment and sexual assault. The action, demonstrate behavior consistent with Army's sexual harassment and assault response and prevention program. The conditions, given a classroom environment, this classroom here, the virtual classroom you're in. The standard, student will complete SHARP annual refresher training, contributing to building unit readiness. This is a graph of trends from FY20 to FY18. You see it trended down through 15 and 17 and trended up in FY18. Not sure if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. Could mean that there were less cases occurring, or it just could mean there's been more reporting. This is a graph of the sexual harassment complaints from FY14 to FY18. And again, it could just mean that we have not been doing as much harassing, or there's just been more reporting. Prevention. So prevention is going to start with the individual. The individual is you, the uniformed service member, or DOD civilian. And we need people to be change agents. You need to go out, and if you see something, say something. Intervene, and then starting with you, it's going to spread out to your peers, friends, and family members, and to your unit, to your community, to the post. What you can do, treat everyone with respect. Achieve consent, that means get a yes. Not non-answer does not mean yes. Sleep or unconscious does not mean yes. You need a confirmed yes when you're engaged in any kind of sexual activities. Drink responsibly, have a plan. That means Lyft, Uber, stay home, stay at a friend's house. Just drink responsibly, have a plan when you go out. Barriers to intervention. Barriers to intervention has to deal with why people don't intervene when a situation has gone astray. Could deal with rank. You could be scared to intervene because the person that's in the wrong outranks you. You don't want to be embarrassed, fear of retaliation. Impact on career. But please, please, please don't let any of these barriers affect you from intervening. We don't want sexual harassment or sexual assault in our ranks. It degrades the integrity of our organization. There are 3 Ds to intervention. The direct approach, which is direct, approach the perpetrator and tell them, you know, this isn't right, you need to cut it out right now. Distract, you can change the subject, you know. If it's kind of a hostile environment, you might want to talk about what happened in sporting events lately to try to change the climate of the current situation. And then delegate. You can have a third party intervene, send an email, get a squad leader, chain of command, etc. The intervention process. So notice the event. Be cognizant of your surroundings. Know what's going on around you. Interpret the event as a problem. Some people notice what's going on around them, but don't interpret it as a problem. You must interpret it as a problem. And then accept personal responsibility to intervene. So you've noticed a problem, now take that responsibility to try to do something about it. Take action. This is a chart that kind of shows you, you know, what a professional work environment, the values in a professional work environment, and then how early warning signs to sexual harassment leads to sexual assault. Sexual harassment is the gateway to sexual assault. So before you get into the harassment, let's try to cut any early warning signs. Let's try to nip that in the bud. The definition of sexual harassment. unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and deliberate or repeated offensive comments or gestures of a sexual nature. Pretty straightforward. Sexual harassment is not tolerated, destroys teamwork, and negatively affects combat readiness. As leaders in the Army, we must create a productive work environment, one free of sexual assault, sexual harassment. A productive work environment makes productive soldiers, completes mission, and we all want to complete the mission. Of course, the policy on sexual harassment applies 24/7 on, off purse. It does not require complainants of sexual harassment to confront the subject or offender. Again, you can come see your SARC, your VA, squad leader, etc. We'll touch on Army civilians because we do have civilians in the 67th ESB. Civilians' procedures on sexual harassment are a little different. They're going to report any sexual harassment to their EEO, Equal Employment Opportunity Officer. And Army civilians' complaints have the right to sue, and civilians are protected from reprisal for their EEO activity under federal law. Types of sexual harassment: quid pro quo, this for that, or hostile environment. Quid pro quo basically deals with, if you do this for me, you're going to get that promotion. If you do this for me, you'll get a better desk, workspace, something to that effect. Asking for sexual favors in exchange for improvement at work. Hostile work environment can be a lot of different things. Can be displaying sexual suggestive pictures, maybe on your desktop background, or posters in the office or barracks. Unwanted touching, telling explicit jokes. All those create hostile work environments, which hostile work environments create unproductive soldiers. The categories of sexual harassment, it will be your verbal, nonverbal, and your physical contact. Verbal, we kind of talked about already, telling explicit sexual jokes. Nonverbal, catcalls, staring at someone, undressing them with your eyes. Physical contact, it's pretty self-explanatory, touching them, pinching them, bumping them, blocking them from passing, just being in their personal bubble, unwanted. So your reporting options. You can anonymously report sexual harassment. Informal, it has a few different ways you can approach that. So a direct approach, we talked about a little, confront them. Third party, to your squad leader or a peer and have them confront them, or your chain of command. The formal process will be filed using a 7279, and soldiers have 60 calendar days to file a formal complaint. For civilians, their process is slightly different. May be raised to the commander or the equal opportunity officer. Must contact the EEO office within 45 calendar days of becoming aware of the sexual harassment, and the commander supervisor notification does not count towards the 45 days. Definition of consent: freely given agreement to the conduct issued by a competent person. I kind of talked about competent isn't sleeping unconscious. Competent means, a lack of verbal or physical resistance isn't consent. You must hear the person say, yes, I do want to engage in this activity at this time. Sexual assault. Sexual assault is a crime, bottom line. The Army policy on sexual assault degrades mission readiness, and sexual assault is punishable under UCMJ for soldiers and then federal and state law for Army civilians. Again, this policy applies on, off post, 24/7. then we're going to go into the reporting process, restricted versus unrestricted reporting. Restricted reporting, the benefits of restricted reporting is you get access to medical and legal and counseling services. You can get a safe examination. You control the release of personal information and can change to unrestricted at any time. So you can start restricted. You decide maybe later you want to go unrestricted, you can. The unrestricted report benefits, you can have access to medical, receive the safe. The biggest difference between unrestricted and restricted is the alleged offender may be held accountable. Command support with unrestricted, because the command can know. And then you can receive an MPO, a military protective order. So that person that did something to you can get an MPO. Who can accept a restricted report? So myself, the SARC, or any SARC rather, it doesn't have to be a SARC in your organization, it can be any SARC or any VA and healthcare personnel. What I want to add to that specifically for Georgia is local law enforcement are mandated reporters. Therefore, if something happens off post and the first individual you contact is the Augusta police or wherever you're at in Georgia, they're mandated reporters, and we'll try to do the best we can to keep your report restricted if that's what you want, but they're going to start an investigation and they're going to kind of be in line with unrestricted reporting. Who can accept an unrestricted report? The commander, CID, JAG, IG, SARC, VA, healthcare personnel. Just about anybody can accept an unrestricted report. So I would really caution you, if something unfortunate happens, we don't want that to happen, but if it does happen, please see your SARC, please see a SARC or VA first. Call the Fort Gordon Sharp hotline. Do that first, because if you do that first, then you keep all your options open. So we, soldiers and Army civilians, are professionals, guided in everything we do by Army ethic. We are certified and bounded with other Army professionals and through a shared identity and service within a culture of trust. Treat everyone with dignity and respect, intervene, direct, distract, or delegate. Do not part to keep each other and our Army safe. Here are some resources as far as getting help. Military One Source, the Safe Helpline. And last but not least, I do also want to plug the Fort Gordon Sharp Office hotline, which is 706-791-6297. Again, that's 706-791-6297. Thank you for your time. The slide deck is going to go out with this video, so if you couldn't read the slides from the video, don't worry, the slide deck is coming out with the video. Again, I am Sergeant First Class Williams, the 67th Battalion, SARC. Thank you.